Hello guys, hope you're doing good. In this video, I'm going to explain how to debug and what are the tips and tricks inside Visual Studio while debugging any code. So for example, I have taken this scenario where I would like to debug the code behind the generate report of this purchase order. So I'll go to this purchase order. Okay, here in the purchase and journals, here the purchase order confirmation. I would like to debug the code behind this print management. So I've already identified the report and the DP class for that. Now I started debugging. So before going that, I would like to explain how you attach the process to this debugger. Okay, I know by the look of this, by the name of this form, I know for this the report is purchase order confirmations. Okay, I'll guide you how you can identify the DP and all. Anyways, this session is not about identifying the class and all. This is purely about debugging. But anyways, I'll explain you how I find it. So purchase order is the report. So I'm pretty sure that it has a DP named with this. So I chose this. Okay, purchase order DP. This is the class, and I opened the code. And this is the code. As we know, for every report processing in the DP, the debugging starts from process report, because that is the rule of thumb in case of reports. So I put a debug point here, and I know this is the DP responsible for generating that data. Now let us attach this to the front end. How we can do that attachment? So just go to the, let me minimize this, just go to the debug and then see here attach to process. This menu option is here. Otherwise you can also use this shortcut Control Alt P. Anyways, for the sake of better explanation, I'm attaching it with this menu item, attach to process. Now once you click on that, you will see all the processes here. What are these processes? These processes are nothing but the processes you see in the task manager. These are the processes. Now we have to see which process our D365 is running on. Okay, it is normally IAS worker process. And do you see anything called IAS here? It may be sub-process or something, but we'll have only two processes which are responsible for that front end. So those processes are either it is W3WP or IAS. Some other process starts with IAS. Okay, in my case it is W3WP.exe. Okay, and if you don't see this, you just have to enable this click mark. If I don't have this checkbox enabled, you won't find it. So I'm trying to find W3WP or IAS service. So if I check this, then only you will be able to see all the processes, and within these processes you find this, and then you select that and then attach. Now this process is being attached. Let's wait for a minute to load all the symbols. So in order to enable this symbol loading for the standard classes, I have created another video. Normally you cannot attach the standard classes. You cannot debug the standard classes, but with the options in the tools options, you have to enable few settings. Then only you can attach that process. Now you see here our breakpoint got bright red. That means the process is successfully attached. Now let us go to the front end and see and trigger that report. So as soon as I click that, it switched to the Visual Studio and the breakpoint came here. Okay, hit the breakpoint. So let's start debugging. I'll tell you where what all the things you can find the tips here. So here you see I am just clicking on F10. If you click on F10, it comes to the next line, right? If it comes to the next line, and within this line you see here this is a static method, because this is a purchase order header is a type which is a table, and this is scope resolution operator. That means after this can be applied on a class or an enum. If it is an enum, the enum value will be here. If it is a class, the method will be shown here. That means if a class contains the scope resolution operator, after the scope resolution operator, whatever the text you see, this is a method name. So this method is static method. Okay. If you want to go inside this method, you have to click on F11, or else you see this toolbar here, little toolbar. So this is says F11. F11 is step into. Into means within this line. So let me click on F11, or else from the toolbar I'm just clicking on F11. As soon as you click on F11, it came here. Why? That is because within that function it may be calling another method. See, it is calling this method. That's why first it evaluates the parameters before calling this function. So that's why this palm rec ID and palm contract ID, first the call order will be from right to left for the arguments. So it came here, the palm contract. First it is calling the palm contract. That is because if you go back, palm contract returns some object, and that object contains this method. So in order to execute this, it needs to evaluate this. That's why we are here. So the execution is somewhere, and now I came back. If you want to go directly to the execution point, there are two ways. Okay, because I'll show you again. Okay, the execution is here. I went to the previous step. Now if you want to return to the execution where exactly it is, there is a shortcut. It is alt number star. If you are somewhere anywhere here or somewhere in any class, anything, if you click on alt number star in the number keyboard, you will see star. If you click on alt star, it goes to exactly where the execution is stopped. Okay, this is it. And another way is, you see this call stack here, you just click on this call stack where this yellow pointer is there. If you double click on it, you will come here. Okay, those are the two ways you can go to the execution. So once you are here, again you have options here. If you want to go to the next line, click on F10, again F10. If you want to go inside this or something, if it can go, it will go. Otherwise you just okay, step into. See, it went to inside. Okay, it went inside. From here again you can do F10, F10, F10. Okay, without this, without coming here, if you want to come out of this method, that means if you want out of this method to the previous method is this, right? One second. Alt star. This is the previous method, right? If you want to come here again, If you want to come here again, just step out. This is step out. F11 is going into the function. Shift F11 is coming out. If you click here, it will directly exit this function, this whole block, and goes to the previous call. Okay, I'm just clicking Shift F11. It went to the previous block. This is the previous method call, right? So now you know what is F10, what is F11, and again what is Shift F11. These are the three things you need to consider. Again, I clicked on Shift F11. I came back. Now let us continue. Now let us continue with the F10. F10, you came here. Okay, F10, you came here. If I click on F11 here, you see there are no method calls here. There are no method calls here. If I am again clicking F11, it simply goes to the next statement only. Since this is evaluating false, that's why it is coming to F here directly. So when there are no method calls, this F11 will be acted as F10 only. Okay, F11 will be acted as F10 only. Then okay, but again here, in here, this is a function method call. If you click on F11, it will go inside. If you click on F10, it simply executes this method without going inside and then come here. Just see the difference. I'm just clicking on F10. What did I do? Oh, I clicked on F11. Let me come out here and then see what this does. Okay, I'm clicking on F10. Again, I'm going to show you the same thing. So this is a function call. If I click on F11, it will go inside this function. And if I click on F10, it will come here. I'm just clicking on F10. You see F10. So it came here. So now we have seen what is F10, what is F11, what is Shift F11. Okay, it processed everything and then recorded here. Now let us discuss about few other things in the Visual Studio IDE. Okay, we did not stop it. Again, I'll go back. Again, let me click here. Again, I'm generating the same report. Let us explore few other things. Okay, use sprint management. It again started here. Okay, it again started here. Now let us discuss about locals window and watch window. What is locals window? Local, by the name suggests, it shows all the variables within the scope of this method. What are the variables within the scope of this method? This is a variable inside for this method, right? This is the variable. So in the locals, that is why it is showing only this variable. If it contains another variable, which we will see in the next next detail, you will also see that. Okay, now here you see purchase order header. Okay, after this purchase order header, this is the name, purchase order header. You will have the value. What does this value indicate? The data which is holding in this variable will be shown here. Okay, right now we haven't assigned any value to this variable, that's why it is showing null. But once if I execute this method, it will be loaded with some data. You keenly observe this. Null will become something. Okay, null will become something. Here purchase order header value is shown, and also some other values are also shown here. These are these variables, purchase order header dot rec id and all. I think, let us see. Yeah, this also has farm order contract and all. Let's not go into this, it is also showing the values which are shown here, which are written by this palm rec id, palm contract and all. That's why dp.palm purchase order contract value it is showing. So okay, here purchase order ref dp.palm, I'm seeing the highlighted value, that small little tooltip. The return value is also being shown here, but let's concentrate on this variable, local variable, which is purchase order header. Now you see here purchase order is no longer null, but it has some data, that's why it is showing that. So purchase order header, what does this have? If you go here, it will have lot of fields. This is a table, lot of fields. Each field will hold some value. You can see that data here. See here, these are all the individual fields. These are all the individual fields, and also it is showing the value of those individual fields. Right now we just created this instance and valued all the null values here. These values will be loaded eventually in this scenario. Create report data. Let's see what this does. Now you see, after executing this purchase order header has some values. Now you see, if you see here, this company logo, some object 0, this is of type object, and core registration number or something, it is holding some value and all. So in the locals window, with the help of locals window, you can see, inspect the element. And also there is another way you can do that, that is immediate window. Where is that immediate window? You see here, the right side, immediate window. Otherwise you can go here. If it is not visible here, let's say this is the immediate window, I just closed it, it is not visible here. Then what you have to do is go to debug and windows, you will see any immediate window. No, not here. Yeah, it is here. If you click on that, it will come here. Let us say purchase order header, I want to know the amount column. Let's say it is not, we are not using local window, we want the amount field for this variable. So I'm just copying this, and immediate window, paste it, not paste, before pasting it, put a question mark and then paste it, and then press dot, and after dot you just give any of the field. Okay, I'm selecting amount, and enter. You see, it returned the value of the amount from this purchase order header. Not only amount, you can also execute any methods. If this object contains any methods, it will return those method values also. F12, okay, and click on F12. F12 will go to the definition of the, if you want to go to the definition of this class, just right click on it, go to definition, F12. F12 will show all the F12 will go to the definition, and if you see the fields here, these are all the fields. You can use any of this field here, amount, euro and all. Okay, again I want to get the value of currency code here, right? Currency code here, currency code here. If I want to get the currency code here, just click on it and then copy this dot currency code. Currency code will give the value from that. Not only these fields, if it has some display methods, those also you can see. Amount correct to euro. Okay, I will call this method. How do you call this method? Paste the object name. This is the object name, not class name. Don't get confused here. Let us go to the DP class here. This purchase order header, the class starts with capital P. But I am using the object. You have to use the object name only, variable name. Okay, this is small p. this object dot, what is this method, amount cur to euro dot amount cur to euro. If it is a method, you have to close and close those values. So it has thrown an error. See, there is no argument given that correspond to required formal parameter. What does that mean? It is expecting some argument, I think. If you want to go to the definition of view code, it is expecting some value here. If you have that value, you can pass it. If you pass that value, it will give. But let us see any display method or something which doesn't have any arguments and then try to retrieve that value. Any values without arguments? Here I don't see any method without arguments. If it has any method without arguments, just give the object name dot method name, and then simply open and close the base. That gives the value. If it contains the method with the name method name, it will execute that method and returns the value. So this is the use of immediate window, and also you have seen watch. And also another useful thing in the locals the locals window is, suppose if you want to keep track of generic ID in the local window. Okay, what you can do is you can pin this. Where is it? Collapse parent. Type. Okay, you're not seeing it here, but let's see. Okay, another thing you want to see here is watch window. Let's go to the execution. What is the shortcut for it? For that, Alt and star in the num keyboard. Okay, Alt and star in the num keyboard will take you to the cursor. Now this purchase order header has so many values here, right? In this so many values, you can also click on this right arrow and then see all the data which is shown in the locals. You will also see all the data. Suppose if you want to monitor the value of this amount, okay, in the code window, that means you want to attach this in the code. You can do this like this, pin. If you pin it, this small thing will be shown here. You can attach it. Each time you debug and come here, this will always be showing the value. You see here 24490, that is the value of the amount, right? This is one of the useful pin tab. Okay, now another cool thing is watch window. You can add watch, you can add particular variables in the watch window. How do you do that? Let's say this purchase order header, right? I want to watch it. That means, let us see, let me add it and then you will observe, you will see. In the purchase order header, I am adding this to watch. Add watch. If you add watch, it is going to show it in a new window. So that variable will be passed here. You might be asking, what is the use of watch when there is locals? Locals, you don't have control over what is to be displayed in this window, but in watch window you have control for that. Just let me explain what that is exactly. Now let me go further. Okay, I came from here and I want to go inside this method. How do you do that? Just click on F11. You will go to another method, right? You will go to another method. Now let's go back to the locals. locals will no longer be having the previous methods variables. It will be having the variables within the scope of this method. That is why the old purchase order header is gone. This purchase order header is related to this method, not the previous method. You have to understand, in our previous method, our variable name is purchase order header, but now without underscore. But now if you go back to the execution, this purchase order header starts with underscore. It is different from the previous execution. And along this variable, it is also showing docu brand details. Docu brand details is inside this method, not related to the previous method. But since you have added the previous method variable to the watch, it is still showing in the watch. Got it? Since you have already added it to the watch, it is showing here. So wherever you go, whatever the value you have attached to the watch, it will always remain here. Okay. Now we have seen locals and watch, and also immediate window, right? Now I would like to show you another thing, important thing, which is a call stack. Call stack. What does this call stack mean? Call stack tells you from where the whole tree structure of the execution. From somewhere we came from the previous, we came from process report to this docu brand details, right? We are inside this method. If you go to F12, we are inside this. If we want to if we want to know from where we came here, this call stack will show you that. So this yellow cursor will show you where exactly you are. And before this, if you click on it, we go to the previous call. Again, if you click on it, we go to the previous call. We are in 3 levels down. Again, from where we came here, if you click on it, it will go to the previous call. Again, if you click on it, we came here. That means what call stack does is, it started from here and then went into this method, into this method, into this method, into this method. This is the stack. Okay. This is the flow of execution. Call stack will show the flow of execution. As I told you, wherever you are, you can use the call stack and go to the execution place where exactly the cursor is going on. Click on this, this will go here. And once you execute this, let me pin this. You can pin this call stack like this, unpin this so that you can see. Once the execution of this method is done, completed, we go back here. This will be deleted from the stack. Let us see. We are in purchase order DP, set sys document brand details, set sys document brand details regular. Okay, we are here. It is not showing the full name. Okay, brand details. Okay, and after a completion of this, it has to go to purchase order DB process report. Let us see whether it goes or not. Execute it, execute it, execute it, execute it, and closely observe. As soon as we come out of this, this line will be gone and the cursor will shift back to the below line. You see here, now we are in process report. That means that execution is done. Now it came back here. And process report, once this process report is completed, again we go back to the previous method. Pre-process strategy dot execute. Let us see here. See, pre-process strategy dot execute. That process report is gone. Now we came back here. And once this execute is gone, it will again go back to the previous one. Anyways, as I have told you previously, if you want to go out of this method, you just have to click Shift F11. If you click on Shift F11, it executes all these things and then go back to the previous method call. That means previous method call you can identify as pre-process strategy. On F11, that is gone, and then we are here. This class name dot init execute pre-process strategy. Pre-process service or pre-process strategy. I think now we have a pretty good idea about call stack. Call stack shows the stack of execution flow. Okay. Another thing I would like to show you here is, okay, let me finish this and again let's start fresh. Okay. Let me cancel this. Go back here and again to sprint management. Now again we came here. Suppose this is a long method. This is a long method. Okay. You want the execution to directly go here without without executing all this. You don't want to wait till all these lines are executing. You want to directly go here. Directly in the sense these lines will be executed, and after the execution you want to stop it here. Stop at line 679. Okay. Instead of executing line by line, you clicking on F10, 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 F11, F11, F11 and coming here, you can directly do it in two ways. One of the ways, put a breakpoint here and then click on continue. Continue is F5. It will come here. If you click on continue, it will directly execute all these things and it stops here. That is one thing. The another thing I want to show you again here, again by clicking on print preview. The another way is without the breakpoint. If you come here, it is showing this green execution, right? This is run execution to here. If you click on this, this will directly come here after executing all these. The problem with breakpoint is if you put a breakpoint, every time you debug it, it stops at the breakpoint. But if you want to instantly come here only once, you click on this. This will directly come here. Okay. This is another cool trick you can use. And let's go inside this method. Okay. And you want to see, okay, we are inside this purchase DP class. Okay, you want to see the previous method sys docu brand details. You want to see both of them at the same time. How do you do that? You cannot do, right? If it is another file, you open that file. If it is another file, you simply, let us say the previous method in the call stack, this is the previous method, right? If you want to go to this method and this method is in another class or another file, what you do to see them parallelly? You just open that file from the solution explorer. Let's say this is that file, and then if you want to see, you just drag down here and then bring here. Then you will see both of the lines side by side. You understand what I'm saying? Now I'm clicking on Alt star, it came here. If you want to analyze the previous place, you can split these windows and then see. But here, the previous method is also in the same class. If you want to see those two lines within the same file, what you can do is here you have this arrow. Just drag it. It will simply split this window in two halves, and you can scroll individually. Now within here you can go to the you can go to that previous line. What is the previous line? Set sys document brand details. This is the process report, right? This is another cool trick. You can see in the process method, you can see both of these within the same file, side by side. Here, if you click on F10, this will move on, but this will always be within your site. Understand? This is another cool thing. But if it is another file, you just have to simply drag and drop and drag and adjust like this. Okay, this is another thing. And one more interesting thing. Okay, if you want to go this back normally, simply return it back, pull it up, it will go. Another cool thing in Visual Studio is like, so you keep on opening files, view code, view code, view code, view code, view code, view code. Okay, you keep on opening all these files. You will get lost the track of the previously opened file, and one file you want to always be shown here. How do how do you go to the previous that class? Let's say this purchase order DP, you want to always display in the here, not go into the this minimized ones. You can do that. See here, this pin button, if you pin it, it will always be here. No matter how many files you open, it will always show it in the first tab. And you can pin as many files as you want. If you just observe, I just pinned these three files, and let me open other files. You open 100 files, 1000 files, all the pinned files will remain here only, and the newly opened files will be joining these minimized tabs. Okay, and another thing I want to show you. Okay, let's go back to the cursor. Where do you want to go? How do you go? Just click on Alt star, it will go to the cursor, right? Suppose you are here and you are debugging it. If you want to skip execution of this particular line, that means you don't want this to be executed. You directly want this line to be executed. There is a way you can do it. Simply drag the cursor here. Then we just skip the execution of this line. And if you click on F10, it will simply execute. Now it is throwing exception because we haven't loaded this value. That means if you want to skip one line or few lines, you just simply drag the cursor to the place where you want. It simply skips the execution of that. Okay, what so far we have seen all those. So let's rewind what we have covered so far. So we have covered the breakpoints and the attaching of this code to the front end for debugging, and we have seen locals window, and then we have seen watch window, and also we have seen immediate window. And there are other things which are quite complex in the sense. Here is the command window. This command window will be acting as this command window only. You can execute the commands right from here, but it is somewhat not required. Okay, And let's see here. Here also you can search for the values. What do I mean by that? Let me check. Let me run this and cancel this again. Again reinitiate the process. So we are here and we have some data in the purchase order header. What is this data? 24490.2. Let's go to the locals window and search that value 24490.2. 24490. If you click on it, see, this locals window is so useful. It is also searching the values of this variable. Okay, and in the depth is somewhat different because purchase order, this is the depth level 2, and if in the base fields also you have few other things, and again this is level 4. Now at what level? 0, 1, 2 and 3 is the depth level. To which depth you want to search. Here let us search for admin. Admin isn't created by, right? Just search for admin, and created by admin it gave. You can also see USMF, you just USMF data area ID. It is searching that in the locals window. This is hardly used anywhere, but it's good to know. Okay, so if you want to split two tabs, you can simply drag and drop. And if you want to close and remerge to the previous layout, just simply drag it to the center. And if you want to split the same file into two, just do this. You can scroll from the above, you can scroll from the down. Okay, this is another useful thing. And F10, F11, F12 we have seen. That is it. Thank you guys, thanks for watching. Let's see you in another video.